What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 33 of The Rise of a Nation, here with FC Edmonton in the Canadian Premier League. It is the start of June, it's the start of a new month, and well, it's the start of a new episode. Last time out we started Season 5, I do recommend you go check that out if you haven't already, just to show you the league straight out. We're currently top, we're in a good little spot, and today we're going to be taking on Halifax, who, well, if we beat today, are going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble because they've been our big rival for years. They've lost 3 games so far this split. We beat them and they have struggled to get going really this year, and we played them just 1 week ago. So we're going to hopefully try and further compile their misery. Of course, last episode we kicked things off against Cavalry FC. You can see last month we played 5 games in the league, 4 of them on the road. Yes, it was a bit of a long month for our players travelling around. The first game against Valor FC, a 3-2 defeat. The only defeat, and it was a harsh one to take. You can see the stats in the bottom left. They started off the game very well. Marco Bustos grabbed a goal for them in the 23rd minute, and they followed that up with another in the 61st. And at 2-0 up, going into the last 15 or so minutes, we did a little bit of a roll of the dice, gambled a little bit. And, well, we got our rewards immediately. Nick Daly scored from the penalty spot, and not long after that, he scored a header, if I'm not mistaken, at the back post. And you thought, 2-2, they're down a man. They've had a player sent off in Aparicio in the 70th minute. Now this game is ours, but it wasn't meant to be. And it was Mo Bambouli who grabbed the goal in the 81st minute. It was a little bit heartbreaking. If I'm not mistaken, Lucelio, the young Brazilian centre-back, made a little bit of an error. And a game that it felt like we were going to kick on and win. Unfortunately, we just crumbled in. The next game, it was even more high scoring. We took on Forge FC. This game, a 3-3 draw, the only home game we've played. 9,000 fans packed into the FC Edmonton Stadium for this one. And in the end, it finished 3-3. We got things off to a great little start. It was Nick Daly in the 8th minute. It was a free kick, a really tidy effort from the edge of the box. And at the break, it was only 1-0. But to kick off the second half, a howler for Connor James. It's something we've all seen in Football Manager this year. We've all seen it happen occasionally in real life. The ball crashing against the woodwork, unfortunately hitting the goalkeeper on the back and going in. We did respond well to that, however. We got a goal through Saint Duck in the 54th minute. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was a Karata assist. It was like a cross, if I'm not mistaken, from the right-hand side. Duck scored it. Really nice finish by him. And, following on from that, they pulled even again. It was Henson, who you might remember is the young Dutch winger that they signed a few years ago now for FC for a decent sum of money. I think it was £1.2 million they paid for him. He got them back into it. Nick Daly immediately responded to us, and you felt like after the craziness of last game, surely that was all that could be written in this game. I should also point out, Mosavat sent off in the 81st minute in this game. So to take the lead and go back ahead, having conceded, having just had a player sent off was great. Nah, the game had one last kind of, twist in the tail. It was the last effort of the game. It was Carl Kane Cochrane, and it was an absolute bullet. Connor James got a hand to it. Could he have done better? Maybe. We ended up going on to draw the game, however, with that last kick of the game flying in. And off the back of that, we took on Pacific, where we did get back to winning ways, which was very, very good news. A 4-1 victory here. Good to see a variety of goal scorers as well. Vim got us off to a flyer. Decided to give him the start in this game. We did do a little bit of rotation here. We brought in Kevin Williams in goal for Connor James, who after his poor form, I just decided to give a break. Lucelio came on in this game, and he did pretty well, to be fair. I think he got an assist in the game before against Forge. He did okay here as well. And the goals kind of went flying in. Alan Bill got 2, his first just after half-time, and then Deshays followed up not long after. Unfortunately, we did lose the clean sheet, but nevertheless, a 4-1 win, a very, very good performance there. Our 2 most recent games, we beat Forge FC 2-0. Bill and Hamilton with the goals there. Bill got the season off to a flyer. 3 goals for him so far from out on the left-hand side. And Nick Daly scored from the penalty spot just before half-time in our previous game away from home against Halifax. So that's how the league's looking right now. It's been a pretty good start all in all. Just have a little look at the season preview here. Here is the Dream 11. Interestingly enough, only 2 players in the Dream 11, not our own. Diego Barbosa is one of them, the right back for York 9. And Henson, the man who scored against us against Forge, the Dutch player who I talked about, he is also in the Dreamer level. He's a very good player at 20 years old. They brought him in for 1.2 million. He's going to get pretty close to getting Canadian citizenship, isn't he, the way he's going? He does look like a very good little player. Maybe we would sign him at right back if it wasn't for the fact we did actually make a signing at right back. Yes, the miracles can happen. The player we brought in is Baloo Tabla. Now, I believe he's known as Baloo. That's his shirt name, so that's what we'll be referring to him as. And he looks very good. We've got him from Athletic Bilbao. It's not the ideal transfer in terms of it being a loan, but it's a loan until the end of next season. So we've got this guy as a backup right back to compete with Karata for the next 2 years. And given the fact he's obviously a right midfielder and he's Canadian, I think it's a really good bit of business. We're paying only a fraction of his wages as well. £1,600 a week of his £8,000 he is paid. I think it's just a smart loan deal that gives us a lot of room to work with. Unfortunately, Nick Daly and Karata still have their paperwork going on even a month after the registration window closed. So that did cause us a bit of a headache, as you guys were aware of, when it came to international players. The only player who isn't registered in our first team is Jose Hernandez. We've made him available for the under-20s. He's got 4 assists so far in 3 games. He's doing pretty well. I hope that we can get him registered into the team somehow and some way. But anyway, this is how the first team's looking. It's in a pretty good spot. Solomon, we didn't sell, but I just demoted him down to the under-21s because he was kicking up a fuss. I'm trying to move him on. His value as a player has dropped quite a lot. I'm kind of realising that we're not going to get a lot of money for him. Then again, we only paid £800 for him, so make of that what you will. And of course, he was out on loan last year. We really haven't relied on him a great deal. So I'm kind of just waiting for the right bid to come in to move him on. The team as a whole, though, is doing very, very well. Vim has been doing well. He's been available for the reserves and he's been banging in goals for them. He's got 7 goals in 3 games. Obviously, you saw that he did score in his recent game for the first team. However, I feel like we're going to exclude him from the team for today's game just because, to be honest, between our other forwards, we're really not struggling that much. This is the team that I'm thinking I'm going to go with. I'm contemplating whether or not I want to bring Connor James back in. And the more I think about it, the more I feel like after his recent howlers, maybe Kevin Williams is the man to come in to replace James. It's an ongoing saga, I feel like, the goalkeeper position. Ever since we got Williams 4 years ago, we've kind of rotated him and Connor James quite extensively. That's not going to change here. I just wonder if there's anything else I want to do with the team. I would like to play Baloo here, but unfortunately Karata's been complaining about a lack of first team football. So we're going to play him as a starter today in the right midfield position. Similar story for Mosavat. He has been complaining about a lack of first team football, so we're going to give him a chance today. So there are a few little promises that we've made to players. It means that we have a very, very young look midfield. We've got Bill, Deshays, Mosavat and Karata. All regens with Mora in behind, ABC and Oyamada and Williams. Suddenly we're down to only 3 real players, which, I don't know, given the fact it's Season 5, I guess isn't too unreasonable as far as Football Manager goes. Just some little things before we go any further. What I tend to do when I'm playing through the game is I get to where I think, yes, I'm going to record an episode and I'll save the game and I'll just maybe take a break, get water, get ready to record. I came back and was like, hey, maybe I should just request some stuff just before we start. I made some requests, the board granted them all. So, stadium expansion, 3,000 more seats. It's going to cost in the region of £1.9 million. Training facilities they want to upgrade for £1.8 million. And the percentage of transfer revenue retained has increased to 75%. So you can see here with these 2 deals, we're looking at a total cost just shy of £4 million. I am going to have to kind of carefully budget a little bit here. But right now we're comfortably within that. And at the rate we're making profit this year, I'm hoping that we'll have enough money in the bank balance to cover both of these kind of expenditures when they come in, these expenses. Realistically, we should have the money for those. It just might mean a slightly smaller transfer budget next year. But given the current state of our squad, I feel like the long-term investment of stadium expansions and training facility work probably is worth looking into. Anyway, let's get into today's game. We're taking on Halifax Wanderers at home. The team we're going to go with is here, ABZ, Fraser and Oyamada. Part of me does want to bring in Lucelio. He's been pretty good for us. He had one really poor performance. He's appeared a few times off the bench, which has kind of dragged down his average rating. Could bring him in for Fraser. When I've played him at the back, I've moved Oyamada to ball-playing defender. 8 passing really isn't the best for a ball-playing defender, but out of our 3 centre-backs, it's probably the best we can hope for realistically. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking we may even switch to a flat back 3 with these 3 players once they become nailed-on starters in our team. But due to the foreign player rules, obviously we can only have 5 foreign players in our starting 11, so it's a little bit of a juggling act at the moment. Anyway, higher up the pitch, we're going to go with Mora playing the ball-winning midfielder role. Unfortunately, Azevedo has strained his hamstring. It's the only injury we've got to contend with. He's been out for about 6 weeks with that. That was the estimation. So keeping an eye on him, but he's still a couple of weeks away from fitness. So with Mora playing deep, that's kind of meant that the centre-mid positions are up for grabs. And right now it's Deshays and Mosavat taking the lead there. Deshays, 2 goals in the league for him, a 7.8, 7.6 average rating. That's not that bad. Karate on the right we'll keep an eye on. He's been complaining, as I said, about a lack of first-team football. Up top for today's game, we're going to go with Hamilton and Daly. Hamilton's had a little bit of a slow start to the season, so we'll hope that he can get his season off to a good start here. A win in this match, and you'd very much expect us to run out spring split winners. So that is exactly what we're going to be working towards here. And, well, let's see what we can do. It's going to be a big game against Halifax. But at the same time, we showed at the end of last year, I do feel like we are the superior side at this point. We have really strengthened up our team a hell of a lot over the last couple of years. Lots of young players who are improving a hell of a lot. And players like Jordan Hamilton have just come into the team and done work. And we talked about the fact he's been quiet. Less than 2 minutes into this game, he is the man to break the deadlock. And Carlos Mora with the assist. He's been getting a few of these from the deep area. Hamilton, nice little looping header over the keeper into the back post. Exactly what we want to see there. Can we get some more? Deshays, 5 minutes gone. He puts it in. This time Ingham does collect. Of course, Ingham is the York 9 goalkeeper in real life. I was watching some of the Canadian Championship where it was, I think it was Montreal Impact v York 9. He unfortunately gave away a penalty in the very last kind of dying embers of the game, which unfortunately saw the game finish 2-2 if I'm not mistaken. We'll hope that you can have a howler against us here, and well, on that occasion he probably had that covered. Mosavat, with the effort, was not far wide of the mark. Definitely worth just reiterating the fact that between Deshays and Mosavat, we've got 2 young Canadian international centre midfielders, and well, Hamilton has absolutely got to score that. Ingham has completely fluffed his lines, dropped it to Hamilton, and he just couldn't finish. He kicked it straight at his man. Ball lumped over the top here. It's going to spin and keep in play from Adam Bill. So far, we look like the team in the ascendancy. They have not had a shot yet in this game. Mosavat, what a tackle that is. Falls to Karate, who has a little bit of a point to prove. What can he do? He lays it off to Deshays, who switches it to Adam Bill, who takes it down, whips in. Daly's there, hits the crossbar, and Ingham collects. How is this only 1-0? How have we not scored another in this game? We've been all over them. And we just can't quite find that breakthrough. Hamilton with it to Bill. Of course, last time we met Halifax just 6 days ago in the away game, it only finished 1-0. We are already looking better here, but we've hit the woodwork again. It could be already 3 or 4 goals to nothing. Halifax, I don't know who they've played to or what like hijinks they've got going on here, but it just feels like there is some divine force preventing us from getting the ball into the back of their net a second time here. Deshays here with a free kick, hits it not far over at all. Commentator said it may have even skimmed the top of the bar. It was that good. We've had 66% of the ball here. They are just penned in their own half. Hamilton with it, now to Daly. Dispossessed but straight to Karata. Deshays, Mosavat. Now Mora. I mean, we're looking very, very good here right now. Just want an end product at the end of this kind of build-up play. Mosavat, Deshays, drifting out wide, goes to Daly, who hits it. He was a little ambitious with that effort, but that really was not far away. So far, Halifax have not come out to play in this game. They have not been at the races. We've not really seen anything from them. There's lots of zeros in their columns of the match stats. They've done pretty much nothing other than foul us. Going to tell the players I'm not happy. I want them to get fired up. I want us to take that performance to the next level. Licelio's on a booking. I'm just going to play it safe. We're going to bring in Rocco Romeo for him. Of course, Rocco Romeo, the youngster we signed from Toronto. You can see just looking at his attributes there. He's a very, very good centre-back. Perhaps lacks a little in the heading department, although that's kind of just a recurring trend at this point with our centre-backs, is the fact we're not the best at dealing with stuff in the air. But I like players who can do okay with the ball at their feet, and besides the lack of height, everything else about our centre-back options is just pretty much top drawer, I feel like, here. ABZ misses a crucial interception, as I say, about how top drawer our centre-backs are. Fortunately for us, Williams to the rescue. With him and Connor James fighting it out for that first position on the team sheet, it's kind of a case of, make your claim. Every single save that they make like that, it's going to be put under the microscope. We are going to overanalyze every single contribution the goalkeepers do. To be fair, Williams, I don't think he's really put a foot wrong since we brought him into the team. They've made a change in formation, and with this only being 1-0, we've got to remain vigilant here. You saw they had that one chance that Williams bailed us out with. Hamilton, maybe a chance to get his second. He's quite wide here, crosses it in, it's blocked away. They could potentially hit us on the break now. Danto with it. Karata, though, to intercept, and now with Deshays. Puts it wide for Adam Bill. Can he keep it in? Of course he can. He crosses it and headed away. On the volley, Mosavat, not far over at all. All over them right now. Mosavat is not the best of games, but I'm going to keep sticking with him. Mora has picked up a booking, so I'm going to bring in David Norman. He's a player who's very rarely played for us this year, but you can see he's improved his determination a little bit lately. He's a very well-rounded player, but he's just not super talented at anything. He's kind of that jack of all trades, master of none. Which makes him pretty useful as, a centre-mid sub. His creativity isn't the best. He isn't the best in the final third. But just as a semi-reliable, more defensive option, I feel like he offers us what we need from the kind of player that he is. I feel like the number 26 shirt number perhaps gives you a signification of his squad importance. And well, speaking of squad importance, there's one man who is always the first name on the team sheet. It's Nick Daly. Captain fantastic. Kurata is awarded the assist here, which seems a tiny bit generous considering he's the one who puts in the free kick. Defensive error falls to Daly. He capitalises. It's his 7th of the game. It's taken us until, well, the tail end of this game to get that second goal, but we have now got it. I'm also going to bring in the Duck, I think, for Hamilton. Hamilton's got his goal, but the Duck has been in fine form. Still training him to play right midfield. We'll see how he gets on picking up that role, although it is a bit of a change from what he's used to, so I'm not anticipating him to be particularly good at it until, well, at a push the end of the season. I feel like we're really looking at that position rechange of St. Duck at right mid as something for maybe next season and beyond if it works out. Karata out-muscled by his man and then murders a player. That's a definite red card in the 3D match engine. He's just lost his temper there, our little terrier. And, well, Duck, can you start learning to play on the wing quicker? You'd think he'd be good playing on the wing given the fact he's a Duck, really. I mean, we don't have any other subs, do we? You know what, Duck? Just show us what you can do. Has he actually learnt it at all yet? No. I have no idea what his adaptability is going to be like. But we're going to play him there now and see what he can do out in the right midfield. It's a shame to go a man down. I guess the only good thing to come from it is the fact that there isn't enough time, I don't think, for them to launch a comeback here. In fact, we have a set piece. It's headed onto the woodwork. It could have been a third. And, well, yeah, we're not going to pay for the sending off, which I guess is the most important thing here. Going to have to have a word with Karata. Kind of ironic that after really kicking up a fuss about wanting to start more, he puts in a red card tackle like that is going to see him suspended for at least a couple of games. And yes, Baloo, who is, of course, the player in from loan out of a right midfield option, he's going to get a bit of match fitness at the rate that we're going because Karata is not going to be available for selection. Very, very pleased with that performance, though. Terrific 2-0 home win. What was the attendance of this game? 9,200. That's pretty good if you ask me. That's pretty good. You can see here, Forge in second, drew with Cavalry. York 9 won, which is a bit of a surprise. They actually have a game in hand, which if they were to win, they could cause us some, well, potential headaches, I guess you could say. Of course, there are 10 games in this split. We do have York 9 on the horizon. May well do the game against them there. That could be the game that decides things in terms of the split. If we start pulling away, of course, maybe I'll change my plans. After that, you can see we've got Pacific FC and we have got Cavalry in the meantime. Elsewhere in the Canadian Championship, we're coming up against Unionville. Is it Milliken? Unionville Milliken? They won in the first round on away goals against Pacific. Considering they play in League One Ontario, that's not the best result for Pacific FC. You can see their key player here, or rather their hot prospect. Their key player is actually this guy, Chad Gopal. Let's be honest, there is no way in hell they should ever be beating Pacific, and Pacific really need to hand their head in shame. A few of our players out on loan playing various matches, which is always good to see. Goldhar, in fact, picked up a hat-trick from centre mid, as you do. Of course he did. Of course he did. Right, Bill's going to get a wage increase to £800. I can stomach that wage increase. I'm not going to lie. In some ways, I'd quite like to give him a new contract now. Although I don't want to give him a yearly wage rise. But I would be quite keen to lock Bill into a long-term contract because he does look very, very good for us at the moment. Obviously, given the club's current financial situation, I'm in this really nice position where I can afford to overpay for players just a little bit. Let's get in the optional extension again. Lock it in at 2 years and see what he says. He's happy with that. So potentially a 7-year deal being signed for Adam Bill, which would be huge. The only other big deal we've done recently is Mora has signed a 5-year deal at the club, which also features an optional 3-year extension. It does see his wages soar to £1,800, which makes him one of the highest earners at the club. But let's be honest, Carlos Mora absolutely deserves that. He's been one of the standout players for us. And equally, as I mentioned, with our current financial situation, a couple £1,000s a month really isn't a lot. We're currently spending £43,000 a week on wages. Our committed spend, which includes players out on loan, is nearer £46,000. Most of that is Marcel Ruiz, but that total is still £10,000 below our actual wage budget. Things are okay at the moment here. We don't need to worry about the finances at all. But anyway, folks, that's going to wrap things up from me today. We may well come back for that York 9 game. As I mentioned last episode, I'm going to focus less on the North American League. The Canadian Premier League is always going to be something that we prioritise. The North American League, I think we showed last year, we should be going quite far in that competition relatively easily. So rather than coming back and you watch me win 6 or 7-0 against random teams from North and Central America, I'm going to play it game by game. If we get to a second leg and there's still something to play for, we'll include those. But games like the one against York 9 next time out could be really big for our season, assuming that they are still in contention, because they have got to win that game in hand, which might not be easy for them. I guess it depends on what their fixture congestion is like. But anyway, folks, that is all from me today. Hopefully you've enjoyed. I will see you guys again soon. It is me, Jack, and catch you next time.